Sirens are pivotal to the universe of Borderlands. They've been in all the main series of games, excluding Tales from the Borderlands, acting as heroes, villains, allies, and so on. But two exist that I'm willing to bet most of you haven't heard of. Welcome everybody, my name is EruptionFang, and today we're going to be talking about something that is more neat and interesting than it is relevant. By that I mean, we're talking comics. A few years back, a series of comics were released of the popular looter shooter. Borderlands Origins was released back in 2012 and told the origin stories of Roland, Lilith, Mordecai, and Brick. And throughout 2014 and 2015, a continuation would follow, retelling the events of the first game through Borderlands: The Fall of Firestone, and Tanis and the Vault. The reason I say it's more interesting than anything isn't because the series doesn't tell some interesting stories and expand our characters, rather, it's non-canon. You could say that it's within its own realm of canon, not needed to fit into the game, so if that's what floats your boat, then go for it. I'm not going to delve too deep into the stories of these comics in particular, rather I wanted to focus on the Sirens. In the Origins comic telling Lilith's past, it opens up with her father on the verge of death. It's unclear why he is dying, but he is indeed speaking his final words. He asks that Lilith go out and explore the universe before he inevitably falls dead. Moments after, a mysterious woman in a cloak approaches Lilith wishing to speak with her. While defensive at first, it's not until the woman reveals she is a siren that it piques Lilith's interest. She refers to herself as the eldest and has traveled since Lilith's birth to inform her of her siren abilities, telling her that sirens have no code, only their song, and it is Lilith's turn to sing hers. Moments later, falling over and dying herself. The eldest had a short-lived introduction. Not much is known about her. She possessed knowledge of the future, informing Lilith of the other sirens that would cross her path, as well as being aware of Lilith's existence since her birth. Though it's unclear if this is because of her phase ability or if it's because she is the eldest and whatever potential mysterious perks come with that. She didn't exactly have the greatest explanations about sirens. She was incredibly vague, saying how they have their song, but I guess it somehow managed to persuade Lilith to explore the universe. While the eldest siren may have come and gone, one exists that does a lot more to the story and is actually quite touching. Throughout the Fall of Firestone comic, we are introduced to a character named Tate. It is important to note this comic retells that of the first game, with some tweaks here and there. Anyway, Claptrap has a backstory of his very own. Long ago, during the Gold Rush era on Pandora, when vault hunters flooded the planet in search of its vault, Marcus hired Tate to welcome the travelers and get them settled in. Claptrap and her became friends during this time, often loving to dance with each other. But one day, Nine Toes sent a decoy bus full of explosives and detonated it. Tate was greatly injured and knocked into a coma, while Claptrap, thanks to his steel body, was primarily unharmed. After that, attacks on Firestone increased, killing more and more people, and as time went on, vault hunters inevitably stopped coming. Tate was moved to New Haven, where Patricia Tanis would watch over and monitor her, while Claptrap stayed in Firestone, waiting to greet travelers until she woke. Days would pass, which would turn into weeks, which would turn into months, with no one arriving to Firestone. But Claptrap was always ready to greet whoever showed up. Now I know what you're thinking. You had no idea Claptrap could have such a sympathetic backstory that would actually make you feel these sort of emotions for him. But damn did this comic do it. Anyway, so Tate was knocked into a coma in the past, and so as time goes by, she remains in said coma. Roland, Lilith, Mordecai, and Brick inevitably arrive in Firestone, and as events happen, they all eventually deal with Nine Toes. Interested in uncovering the vault, Marcus points them into the direction of Tanis, as she's been on the planet for quite some time studying it. Similar to the games, she sends them around Pandora, where they come across Sledge, who possesses part of the vault key. After dealing with him, obtaining the key, and bringing it back to her, Tate wakes up from her coma. She doesn't play a huge role in the plot afterwards. Claptrap plays bunkers and badasses with her, but for the most part she remains in her bed. Baron Flint and Crom are poisoned by a Claptrap unit who hands over the fragment to the team, and the final vault key piece is in a rack hive. The beast proves to be quite the formidable foe, actually taking out the 4 vault hunters. In a desperate attempt to rescue them, Tanis, Claptrap, Tate, Marcus, and Scooter all head out to assist them. Claptrap ends up getting gravely wounded. Tate holds him and reveals to everyone that she's been hiding a secret. Her name is in fact not Tate, rather it's Asha, and she's a siren. You guys probably saw that coming judging by the context of this video. Anyway, she is able to control the beasts of any planet. In the universe of Borderlands, that's kind of useful. She sends the racks back to their home and the rest of the characters detonate explosives set on the rack hive while Marcus and Scooter launch a bus at it, creating an even greater explosion, putting an end to the monster. Claptrap presumably dies and the Vault Key is complete. The Tannis and the Vault Key series of comics not only ends there, but so do the whole Borderlands comics in general. I guess it is the end. We never get to see what becomes of her or how she affects the story. A siren capable of controlling monsters may quite literally be the most overpowered thing on Pandora. We never get to know why she was on Pandora or why she was even hiding her identity in the first place. Plus, with an ending like that, you can't help but believe Claptrap died. Just as the story truly began diverging, we don't get to see what happens. The Vault, the Destroyer, the role Asha would play, all left to the imagination. Asha's an anomaly. Of the few things we do know about Sirens, Asha doesn't play by one of the biggest rules: her tattoos. Every Siren, no matter what iteration, always has the tattoos to distinguish what they really are. But Asha doesn't have the markings. Not in a single panel are her tattoos ever seen. When her powers emerge, she's actually covered up more than ever, probably a bit backwards. Asha offered a lot to the reimagining of Borderlands. Despite not being a fully fleshed out character, she did add quite a sympathetic backstory to everyone's favorite CL4PTP unit. While the majority of Borderlands players have never heard of Asha, those who have are always optimistic for her canonical existence. NPC, Vault Hunter, or even the faintest of mentions through dialogue. Who knows? So long as the universe doesn't come to an end, there's always a possibility she can make an appearance. Anyway, so those were the two Sirens you've probably never heard of. What are your thoughts on them, and if you'd like to see, at least Asha, make an appearance sometime in the future? Also, let me know if you'd like me to talk about the comics in a bit more detail in another video. Anything and everything, be sure to let me know in the comments below, and I'll see you in the next video.